it comes up.
Welcome back to the second annual 12 Days of Giving. This year, we're going to do things a little more different. I brought Kristina on, who's the head of my marketing and everything, because I wanted her to ask me questions to help you better understand what this series is about as we tease into this season. And this season is a little different. It's going to be set up very similar. We're going to have the same amount of guests, same about time frame of the whole episodes, except for we want them to go into a little more detail and hit upon more of the emotional ties to whether what's happening in the world today, whether they're a female business owner, or how they can relate to clients, because ultimately you're at home right now with your loved ones, either good or bad things sometimes. I know my family. Anyways, but it allows you to know that you're not alone in your situation, or you might know someone who is in a situation that we speak about. And that's what we want to be here for. No bullshit, just transparent stories from experts that I vetted back to you. So I'm a little nervous for this next spot, but we're going to let Kristina ask me questions so that way you get a better understanding of what this series is about.
It's going to give me a better understanding too, honestly, to be honest. So let's just start right from the beginning. Why would anybody want to tune in to the 12 Days of Giving podcast episodes?
I think it's drastically different than what you've heard before, only for the simple fact is we're bringing a client story or a story to you, right? Directly from the horse's mouth, if you will, of some type of expert or professional. And that is a little different, right? Because we're just diving right into it. No fluff of like what they do or anything, just straight to the point of this client went through this. It may relate back to, right? And in this time of giving and this time of need around the holidays, I just believe it's the most important time for some people to reflect and figure out both what happened in 2024 and then like, oh shit, I got a plan for 2025 because it's like a month away.
Crazy. I can't believe this year is like over. It's just absolutely insane to me. Like, I can't. And one of the things my marketing brain was thinking while you were talking is that the most powerful pieces of content are storytelling, right? When you're storytelling and you're marketing, it goes really far. Why? Because one, people are nosy. And I always say that. But two, right? Like, everybody loves a good story. So the fact that you guys are bringing like real stories to the table is just, I mean, chef's kiss when it comes to marketing, but also it's the best way to connect with, your potential audience. So one of the things you had mentioned in your intro was that you guys are really going to be diving into the emotional side of things. Why do you find emotion to be such a big part of what it is that you do?
Because we're humans. Let's be real. Humans are emotional. Name one thing you've done that hasn't been emotion driven. Like it just is who we are.
Yeah.
My industry, specifically the money industry, but in general, society's always driven people away from having emotions be part of their decision making or their story, right? So always leave that aside, just get to work, grind away. And that's backwards. That's fundamentally backwards. We need to understand the emotion, understand how we can go through it, and then let it drive us to where we want to go. Everyone always like, we know this, like your gut tells you something, and then you don't listen to it, and you go back and reflect, and you're like, oh, I should have listened to my gut. That
Yeah.
gut is some type of emotion and feelings that we have, and we want to bring those out. We want to address those. We want to talk about those because those are truly who you are. The other stuff is just fake. It's facade. It's what you've learned, and we got to get back to the grassroots of it.
Yeah. And like when it comes down to like financial services specifically, right? We don't see a lot of financial advisors out there talking about the emotional side. Honestly, you and Larry are the only ones I've ever seen talk about it, to be honest. And I think when you can touch on that emotional side, firsthand with me, right? It sparks something in you, right? It's a different type of connection. And relationship building is everything. And what you do with what your line of work, you have to relationship build. And if you can't understand the emotional side of things, then you can't, progress within that relationship. So I know how big the emotional part is from a personal standpoint, but we're not going to get into that. My next question for you is when you were thinking about, right, we're at the second annual 12 Days of Giving. When you decided to do this last year, like, why? Why'd you do it?
One, it was like off the cusp, and you know this.
I
Like
know.
it came to me, it was November, and we just did it and ran with it,
It was
and boy,
insane.
was it a lot.
It was a lot.
Um, I could not figure out a way to give back to people in a different way than everyone else is doing, specifically in my industry, but in a podcast perspective.
Yeah.
For two reasons. I wanted to be able to give back to the guests and their clients and their stories, but I also wanted to be able to attach those stories to others that may be listening and truly are feeling alone. I've been in that scenario a lot in my life where I just feel like I'm alone and no one else has ever been through this and I'm trying to figure out it myself.
Yeah.
When realistically, that's all bullshit. There's millions of people who are in your situation as you speak,
Yeah.
but there's a lot that have been through it successfully. And there needed to be a platform and people talking about that specifically around this time of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, I always laugh because, especially like growing up, you think, oh, I'm so abnormal. And it's like, no, you're not that special. Like, everybody's going through the same shit you are. Like, it's just a different day. So, when you were vetting out your podcast guests, what were things that you were looking for in the type of people you bring on for these specific episodes? Because they really are different from what you normally do for the No BS Wealth podcast. So, what was kind of your thought process when bringing people on?
The first one is, are they a good person? That's it.
Right.
Really, it's the most important one. Are you a good person? Like,
Yeah.
are you real, transparent, and are you doing good work? Right. Half of them, or not half of them, four of them are, my clients that do really good work. Another half of them are professionals that I've either had on before or we do work together.
Mhm.
Right. And then there's a new one that we got on, and guess what? Teaser, right? Where this is a whole teaser episode. We went a little political with it, right? Because we actually recorded the Friday after the election. So
Clearly, I have
little,
not looked at any of these clips
no,
yet.
you have. So it's going to be a good one. But ultimately, are you a good person? Are you wanting to better humanity? And are you not in it for money? Right? Those are the three things I do to vet anybody. But specifically for this series, are we able to do so? And that's what I think should bring some realism, some transparency, and the fact that people can listen and go, oh, these are genuine ass people.
Yeah, 1000%. Since you have recorded most of the episodes already, right? All of the episodes, almost. Yeah, you've recorded all the episodes. What was your biggest takeaway from the episodes that you recorded?
Yeah. This one is so last year's theme. Let's go
Yeah.
let's a little about last year if you ask me that question. It was the fact that no one talked about money. They talked about the emotions, the journeys, and how to help people be successful, right?
Yeah.
Same theme for this year, by the way, because that theme is only people that I bring on. But the theme this year was this underrooting, like, feeling and desire to truly want to help others.
Mm,
And not just like, obviously, the ones I'm having on are helping people, but in their client story, the stories that we're bringing out even deeply roots more to helping those and helping others as much as we can.
yeah.
And that doesn't always pop up. Last year, it was more about what we can do to help them. And that client story was some type of tragic event. Like the theme was of some tragic event happened and they had to get their shit together. This one is things have happened to these people and are very relatable to all of us. Yet, even in their own stories, they're still looking out for others too. And so it's really awesome to see essentially humans and humanity coming together. And naturally, we want to be able to help others in whatever scenario that may be. We have a couple therapists on that deal with both behavioral therapists, also children behavior therapists from the autism perspective, and even speech therapists. And so it's really a cool combination of everything.
I love that. I'm excited to like finally listen to them. um yeah, I was actually going to go there and ask you that too. Like, how did you feel like last year was different from this year? Going back to the emotional things, like what are some commonalities that you saw throughout these episodes of different emotions that come up for people that people may think like, oh, I'm so abnormal. But like let's shed some light on like the commonalities that you saw.
Yeah. Um, Most of them, the stories come from, are a minority of some kind, right?
Mhm.
Woman, disability, actual minority because of color, maybe a minority because of what they do isn't, you know, the top notch thing, or even a combination of all the above, right? But ultimately, most of all these stories, at some point, they felt like they couldn't go any further
Yeah.
without some type of help or direction,
Yeah.
right? From interior design work to being a child-free adult in this world, right? And everything in between of just like, I'm alone, I can't do this anymore by myself. I need. And what we call those people is we're ready people.
Mm.
We're ready. I am ready. It is time. And ultimately in service-based industries like you and I, those are the people we want to work with, right? Because they're
Yeah.
ready.
Hmm.
However they got there, they are ready. And so ultimately, that's kind of what they were all coming from, a sense of being alone, tried it, failed it 100 different times. And now it's time for me to hire someone because I just can't do
Yeah. Yeah, like they really came to their wits' end.
it.
And where you kind of just feel like helpless. Like if I don't get this help, like I'm gonna continue to drown and feel suffocated. So yeah. Not speaking from personal experience or
Not at all.
anything. Not at all. When it comes to the emotional side of things, I would assume that you, like a lot of financial advisors out there, weren't talking about the emotional sides right out the gate. So at what point in your journey did it really go off for you like, I got to really tap into this because this is the biggest piece of the journey?
Yeah. Throughout my career, I've never been like the top salesman, whether it was the insurance side or getting the most AUM or whatever. But I kept relating to a lot of my clients. I
Mhm.
just didn't know how they could pay me, and then I figured that out, right? They can pay me just a monthly fee. Doesn't
Yeah.
have to be some product. But I learned that if you connect to people, there is more happening than just how much money can you put into this investment, insurance products, you name it, right? But I didn't know what the hell that meant or how to monetize it for myself, but also ultimately how do I support them more and better without the tools that aren't there. And I want to say it was probably, 2014, 2015 area, um, where like it just kept coming up repeatedly.
Yeah.
And working with one of our guests, Jody Peterman,
Mhm.
Aaron Designs, my longest tenured client, um, she's like, I need more help than just this stuff. And I only trust you. And that was it. And then
Yeah.
from there I went, holy shit, like this isn't like product thing. This is a trust thing. This is a relationship thing. And going through all the things that she's been through emotionally with her, recognize the fact that everyone needs a person that they can rely on to go figure out the shit that they just don't have the capacity for.
Yeah.
And for some odd reason, I have a skill set that I can relate to people and I can go figure shit out, right? Wholeheartedly, not the most detailed or organized person in the world. That's okay. But I can go figure the shit out to reduce the emotions and stress that someone has. And that's kind of what picked up. And then that's why we launched our firm Black Mammoth around that modern family office design is that same thing. And that's again back into the whole No BS podcast and especially the series, the same exact thing, right? We are wanting to be able to help take those stresses off using the resources that we have. And those resources that are allowed to you specifically this season are all the guests that we have on. And that is the cultivation that's happening.
You definitely have this like way about you that I trusted you the moment I met you. It could be the last name,
May
but
or may not be related.
may
Who
or
knows?
may not. Like we always have to bring that up because it's really funny. But you do. I definitely I mean I trust you with everything. Whether it's personal or business. And so I do agree that and I've noticed that in my career too, just like you become more to somebody's business than just what you were hired for. And I think what makes us really good at what we do is that we can do that, right? We can be more and help in various areas for those clients. And it really does come down to a trust thing. Like, shit, I mean, God, sometimes I be getting put in positions and I'm like, I really don't know how to figure that out, but I'm gonna figure it
Figure it out.
out. And like, right. So I always do that. No, I love that. In terms of, the financial industry as a whole, right? Like you're doing this 12 days of giving, you've talked to an abundance of people in your industry throughout the years. What is the one thing that this industry is missing that you are now implementing?
Yes. And I don't have a really good word for it besides I still deem it Modern Family Office, of just being real and transparent,
Yeah.
honestly. That's what our industry misses. We miss it by a long shot. We like to scapegoat and as well as go over people's emotions and dictate to them what they should or should not be doing. We need to go back to the beginning and just look at them as humans, trust what they're saying, be very transparent, and let them know that this is a journey, right? Everyone thinks you can get rich quick. It's impossible. It's not a thing unless you win the lottery. It's ultimately a journey that you need to go along side by side with someone. And I wholeheartedly believe in our industry and a lot of the podcasts that are out there specifically dealing with money, they don't equate to that. It's always like, what thing can I do now to make me the most money? Crypto, real estate, all of these things, which are great and are necessary, but they're just tools at the end. Your
Yeah.
mindset, if it's not shifted, will still end up you being failed, right? And so that's where I believe, me personally, and Black Mammoth and No BS Wealth, we're really attacking is our mindset, being real and transparent, and just letting you know we're going to be here with you no matter what happens in life. And we've gone through deaths, marriages, divorces, children's, like every scenario we have been through. And that's what we want people to know is you're not alone.
Yeah. You're not alone. Like I said before, you're not special. Other people are, feeling what you're feeling, but getting to the point where you're like, okay, let me rely on my community and the people who support me. Like when you can get to that point and really lean into that, again, talking to myself, it makes all the difference in the world.
It does.
And you guys definitely, I'm not just saying this because I'm head of marketing, like you really do have something so special about you and how you operate and the transparency. As somebody who is talked to financial advisors in the past, like I felt like I was just getting shit shoved down my throat that I didn't even give a fuck about and things that I couldn't even wrap my head around at that point because I just wasn't there yet. And I think something that you do so well is really meeting your, I know it's like cliche, but you really do meet your client at where they're at in the mental capacity. And that goes a long way. So bravo to you,
Oh,
cousin
well,
friend.
thank you. Thank you. But that's a great way to kind of wrap the whole thing up, right? In this series is we want to meet you where you're at, both with the stories, both with all of the other content that I personally put out, and all of the other content that those guests that I have on are putting out. And ultimately, we are here for you. All of us are. And guess what? Christina's here for you too. She's not just my head of marketing, right? And while you're going through, and hopefully you listen to all the episodes, but if you don't, that's fine. While you're going through those 12 days and listening to these, take that into heart and to account that all of the ones that you're listening to are here for you. Doesn't mean you have to hire us, but could mean you can DM us or reach out to us or engage with us. We're going to answer your question, right? We're going to be here for you as much as we can until, that scope and we're like, hey, you got to pay us. Like, it's been too long. Like, come on now.
Right,
But
right,
seriously,
right.
I want you to take this time and go through these episodes and just listen and understand that all of them have been vetted by me and are here for you. And some of them have some giveaways, which is kind of cool.
That is
Stay
cool.
tuned.
I thought that was a really cool touch, by the way. I really like that. And I think, like, just to wrap it up too, like you said, you're listening to, us, all of us on these episodes talking like don't feel nervous to reach out and talk. Like we're not here to sell you, like you said. Like you vetted these people because you knew they genuinely cared about helping people, right? So reach out, ask the questions, like, and then obviously, like you said, if it gets out right, you get to a point, but like, you don't need to have that fear because, like, you really do have such a great group of people here that really are just looking to help. And with the just everything that our country has been going through as a whole and stepping into a new year, like, unity is everything, community is everything right now. And yeah, I think this is a great way to end the year as well as start the year with hopefully a fresh perspective and a little change in mindset.
Absolutely. So thanks for listening to us ramble on for 20 minutes about this teaser. I really cannot wait for everyone's feedback. It all starts tomorrow, launches tomorrow, and it's going to be an amazing ride. We definitely look forward to it. So reach out to us. We want to know how we did. Appreciate it.
Was sponsored by Black Mammoth. Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Black Mammoth. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Black Mammoth website, www.blackmammoth.com. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification, or rebalancing do not assure or guarantee better performance and cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses. There are no guarantees that a portfolio employing these or any other strategy will outperform a portfolio that does not engage in such strategies. This broadcast should not be construed by any client or prospective client as a solicitation to effect or attempt to effect transactions and securities, or the rendering of personalized investment advice due to various factors including changing market conditions. The information discussed in this broadcast may no longer be reflective of current positions or recommendations. While information presented is believed to be factual and up-to-date, Black Mammoth do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. The tax and estate planning information discussed is general in nature and is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Listeners should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding their specific legal or tax situation. Past performance is not indicative of future results.